Let's go. What's going on? The world's a better place because you are here to join us and let us talk about this, what I think will be a milestone weekend for the college football season in 2025. Ree and Ryan are about to discuss the biggest stories and recap the biggest games and news from college football here in week 7. We're actually just about at the halfway point.
Yeah, I know.
And
It's crazy.
And yeah, dude, obviously big shakeups in coaching, big shakeups in the top 25. We keep
Hmm.
seeing these newer programs really emerge themselves as a top dog. While
Hmm.
of course the OGs, the Ohio States, even the Alabamas and the Georgias always have their grasp. We're starting to see some new programs really get to light.
Oh
Indiana's,
yeah.
Miami, Texas A&M, to name a few. So let's get into that and the bigger stories of the week in college football. It's me and Ryan Page, and just want to remind you first to like and subscribe to the Productive Conversations podcast on all podcast platforms and YouTube. And don't forget to check out exclusive content regarding this show across all social media platforms. We're on Instagram at Productive Conversations Podcast, Exit Twitter at Pod, TikTok at Productive Conversations, and Facebook at Productive Conversations. And as always, don't you forget to check out our sponsor, Magic Mind. Magic Mind, the first world productivity shop where you could do more and stress less. And in this world where we deal with so many stressful things, work, life, social life,
Hmm.
all of that. And you just need something to help you feel calmer, not have a foggy mind, and focus on the task at hand. Check out Magic Mind. And through its signature ingredients such as matcha, nootropics, adaptions, you will feel so much better. You'll be more focused and your life will be just a tad bit easier. And I promise you that. So go to magicmind.com/PCJune for 48% of your first subscription or 20% of your first one-time purchase. That is magicmind.com/PCJune, 48% of your first subscription and 20% of your first one-time purchase. So big week in college football, Ryan.
Yeah.
Why don't we just jump into it right now? Because there will definitely be a lot to get into. And why don't we first talk about the biggest story from college football, which took place on Sunday?
Hmm.
Pennsylvania State University. Am I allowed to say that, or I have to say Penn State for the official ones?
I think it's. I mean, it is Pennsylvania State, right? But
Exactly, because some people are offended when I don't do the full term here, but whatever. But you know what I'm
Penn
about to
State.
talk
Yeah.
about. Penn State has parted ways with their head coach James Franklin following a third consecutive Big Ten loss.
Yeah.
Most recently, a 22-21 defeat to Northwestern. The Nittany Lions, once ranked number 2 in the nation and a national title contender, now sit at 3-3, tied for last in their conference. Franklin, who led the program since 2014, about a 104-45 record, including a Big Ten title, multiple New Year's Six Bowl appearances. However, his 1-10 record against Ohio State and a 3-7 mark against Michigan drew criticism and was always associated with not winning the big game. Associate head coach Terry Smith will serve as the interim head coach for the remainder of the season. So, the mighty have fallen, Ryan. James Franklin is out at Penn State. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me if this is justified. And yeah, big deal, huh?
Yeah. I do think that unfortunately this is justified. This is one of those things where people are probably going to read into it the wrong way. I do think that. I think it's probably crazy to sit back and talk about the guy who coached last year's Penn State as being a bad football coach. That's just not true. It isn't. It's not true. They're a good program. This year, frankly, has been a far bigger letdown than last year. I know some people were kind of talking about hot seat last year if you couldn't win the big game. I thought that was ridiculous. They played amazing last year. This year, though, 3 losses in a row in conference. That's not good. And I don't, again, it doesn't diminish his ability to play, to coach. I think he's a phenomenal coach. I think he's probably going to land a decent spot. I would be shocked if he doesn't get a good job coaching if he
You
wants
really
one.
think so? Like,
Yeah,
do
I
you
do.
think that start at the smaller schools, or do you think a Power 10, a Power 4 school would take him?
I
Like,
think it could
let's
be
say,
a
let's say
power.
Billy Napier for some reason, who's still holding on,
Well,
and
yeah,
he's the
that's
move at
crazy.
Florida. You think they would go with him
I think
as
they'd
an
be crazy.
example?
They'd be crazy not to look at him.
Okay.
I think that, yeah, again, you never know who else is coming up, and you'll never know,
One and
like,
one and two and 45 is impressive on paper,
yeah,
but
that's what I mean.
when it
Like,
matters the most.
Yeah, no, I
Clearly.
I do understand. That's what I mean. I do understand that. Like he has a reputation of losing the big games. I think Florida being where it is and which conference it's in is probably a harder stretch. But if Belichick buys himself out of his contract,
That's a good one.
that's well, I mean, it's a good one, but it's also I don't think a crazy. Yeah, they were willing to spend $1 gazillion on a gimmick. I would much rather spend half $1 gazillion on someone who's a decent college football coach, right? So I mean, like something like that, and that's technically still a Power Four conference. Obviously, not a particularly strong program in one, but still.
Another thing people have talked about, Penn State has had some injuries. Drew Allaire did go down. He's probably out for the rest of the season. But beyond that, though, and just the look for this school, ranked second in the nation at one point.
Yeah.
Um, what do you think went wrong ultimately? Like, how did this not work out?
I mean, this is obviously not ideal for analysis, right? But it's freaking hard to say. It
Mm.
really is. I mean, I've watched a decent number of their games, at least part of it, this season, and I can't tell you what. I mean, obviously, the issue is they don't win. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But like, I couldn't begin to tell you why I think that is. Like, what specifically about this team isn't able to get the win? And again, these last two losses are egregious. Like, UCLA and Northwestern beating this team is absolutely insane. Now, Northwestern beat them by one. I do think that's getting because the guy got fired. I do think that's being lost in the story. They just barely beat Penn State. Northwestern did. UCLA is apparently good, and we just didn't know because I don't know. I guess the old coach at UCLA just wasn't having players go to practice or something. Who the hell knows? But they're
You know
actually
what's so
much better.
funny? We'll talk about that too in the segment, but people are giving a lot of credit to the offensive coordinator, not even the coach, for this turnaround.
Yeah, no,
It's always
exactly.
funny.
And then and then the third loss was against Oregon, which up until up until this week looked like one of the best teams, if not the best team in the conference. Now, obviously, we saw that that's not the case when Indiana went in and spanked them. But yeah, losing to Penn State, and by the way, 24-30, so about 6 points, less than a touchdown. Lost to Oregon for Penn State. That's not causing any concern for people.
Yeah.
Losing to UCLA this year in any capacity is worthy of being fired. Frankly, that loss
Well,
alone.
Ryan, with this, again, not to overstep, but them beating Michigan State, who was also ranked in the top 10 this season.
I know.
They just step up against when it matters the
Yeah,
most, huh?
it's very strange.
Back to
I
back
won't.
weeks.
Yeah, yes, I will not. I won't. Yeah, I shouldn't critique UCLA as much because they did win again, which is crazy. And then Northwestern, they lost by one. That you know what I mean? Like,
And another thing I've been researching on is they took a lot of hits with the recruitment, and I
mhm.
showed you the 2027 Penn 5-star commit running back Kimon Spell
Yeah, he's
goes
no
out
longer
and says,
committed.
"quote This is a real quote. I'm not 100% with Penn State anymore. I will be taking visits, and we'll see from there." I love the high school player has that power now.
Well, he does because he's a five-star recruit. He should have that power. But also go back to last year, the end of last, or it's the beginning of this year in January. It's 27-24. Penn almost beat Notre Dame. Like we forget that game was tight. Penn State versus Notre Dame was a tight game. And it could have easily gone the other way. I said it then. I still stand by that now. So this was a good team, except for they didn't win any of the games they needed to win, which I don't know how you fix that. You know, I don't know how you fix that. Do you have an idea, Matt? Like, again, a
I
loss to
think
Oregon in
it's just like
overtime.
clearly the defense was out of touch, and that's just both on him and the actual and the defensive coordinator. It seemed
Yeah.
that again the recruiting was they just getting such a bad reputation, losing those big games as we mentioned. Well, keeping it close, they could never get on the to the final, they could never get over the hump. So you could
Right.
argue
Yeah.
there it could just be a motivational aspect. He's just not hitting the right notes too at this point.
I
But
almost think
while
that's what it is.
yeah, he's just not. I think the players just must not like him, man. I mean, we're seeing big examples of it in the pros, but you don't see it
Yeah.
too much in college because there's so much turnaround.
Mhm.
But that must be it.
Yeah, he just doesn't have. Yeah, he can't motivate this team, this very clearly talented team. As I point, looking at their schedule from January to now, their losses have all been against schools we would consider phenomenally talented schools, with the exception of Northwestern. And even that one again was a loss by one. So yeah, I really do think it just 52-6 against Villanova. 52-6. FIU did not score against Penn State. So that's what I mean. Like even like the defense, like obviously those schools are nobodies, but it's not even like oh the defense has always been a weak spot. Like no, you know BS teams can't score on this Penn State, and the offense scores a gazillion points on these weak teams. But as soon as somebody who's got a any sort of fight in him shows up, Penn State folds. And I think that that does unfortunately come down to he's just not the guy to finish the job. Like he's not a finisher. He's a great starting pitcher. He does, but he can't close the game. Clearly, that's the case, right? Like that's all I could think of. Like I don't have any other like, oh, this person needs to play more. Oh, they need to focus in on this weakness of their game. I mean, they got Iowa this upcoming week. That like should be a rebound game, and frankly, they desperately need it to be a rebound game if they don't want to get slaughtered.
After Iowa beat Wisconsin 37 nothing.
Yeah, but they need the rebound
Oh
game.
no, I know.
Iowa's
I'm just saying they're feeling hot. So
they're feeling hot,
you know
but
that.
Iowa's not like the powerful. You know what I mean? Iowa's not a strong
Yeah,
program. It's a fine school, but they got Ohio
not
State
anymore. Yep.
and Indiana the first 2 weeks of November. If they need to beat Iowa, otherwise they're gonna go down six. They're gonna go down six if they don't beat Iowa this weekend.
Hmm.
Like if and again, if this Penn State team without Franklin beats either Ohio State or Indiana, then I think we can safely say, yeah, dude wasn't a closer, and that was all on him. But I think we're gonna the talent is there. This is a good football team, so it's crazy to me that they couldn't get over the hump. But it is what it
They're
is.
on their way to the Kraft Macaroni and Cheese Bowl.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, Ryan. Why don't we now transfer to what we usually do? Open with the top 25 rankings
Mhm.
and what's new about them. Obviously, had to get that big story out of the way first.
Yeah.
But there is a significant, absolutely significant reshuffling in the top 25.
Yeah.
And 8 teams, 8 ranked teams all lost. Number 3, Oregon lost. Number 6,
Mhm.
Oklahoma lost. Number 14, Missouri. 15, Michigan. 17, Illinois. 22, Iowa State. And 25, Florida State all went down.
Yep.
So why don't we talk about the big changes in the top 25? First with Indiana, achieved its highest ever ranking at number 3 after a 30-20 road win over the then third-ranked Oregon. The
Mhm.
Hoosiers received their first place. The Hoosiers received 3 first-place votes, marking a historic moment for that program and Kurt Signetti. Oregon dropped to 8 following the loss to Indiana. Michigan fell out of it.
Mhm.
Illinois dropped out after the defeat.
Yeah.
And Florida State is all gone. Right now, 10 SEC teams rank as and 5 Big Ten teams. So the other big moves. Is there anyone I missed besides those 5?
Um, not no, not particularly. I mean, you didn't say how far Oklahoma fell, but they fell far. They went
Can you
down
remind me one more
eight.
time? They're down
They
8.
went down eight. They're at 14 now. This is coming
Mm-hmm.
after a loss to the team that was at one point considered the best team in college football
True,
before
their
anyone played
defense
any
definitely
games.
stepped up.
Yeah, they're that team, Texas, is currently ranked 21. That's too high, but don't worry, that'll get fixed next week. I'm sure of it. Um, I should say that. That's mean. Texas had a very good game. Arch did perfectly fine. The Texas defense is a great defense. If you can score 14 on this Texas defense, you're a pretty good offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go out and say that right now. If you can score on this defense 2 or 3 times, then pat yourself on the back. Also, if you could score on this defense 2 or 3 times, you're going to win the game because Arch Manning is not that good. Not yet. Anyway, and again, I hate to dunk on the guy after a win. He's had plenty of losses that were bad, so I'm not going to focus on him too much more. But Oklahoma, I think, is still a strong team. They can come back from this. Mateer's got to heal up. I don't. I'm not certain it was smart to play him. He was, bobbling the football several times. I watched him almost drop the ball. To me that was a mistake. But yeah, no. Other than how just how far Oklahoma fell,
Yeah.
I mean USF went up a bunch too. But that's really, and that by a bunch I mean five, and you know they're kind of that American. They're the American team, like obligatory one. Like we're probably going to see them in the postseason unless Memphis beats them, which they might. But that's like I think we've pretty much. I think they are this year's Boise, right? So
Hmm.
that it's clear they're a good football team. They've played good football teams. They've played them well. They kicked the shit out of bad football teams. But yeah, they went up five, which is, significant. But it's five at the bottom of they're at 19 now. So it's five, but it's at the bottom of the list, so nobody cares. Um, but yeah, no, I think this is a really strong top five. And to your point, Matt, you can go down into the top. If you look at the top five, right? I should say, only one of those teams, Ohio State, has appeared in a college football playoff, winning or otherwise, since 2014. Ohio State is the only one of the teams in the top five right now who has appeared in a national championship game,
Yeah, like I said, finally
rather.
some new faces, some
So,
fresh faces. I think that's so important for the sport.
yes, in
Not the
Miami,
typical all red teams, it feels like.
yeah, Miami, Indiana, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, all those guys have been out of the conversation since at least 2014, if not longer in some cases.
Hmm.
Never in the case of like Indiana. And so I do think that yeah, it's good for the sport that we're not going to see basically a rehash of last year's college football, but with USF instead of Boise, right? But it is, if you look even further on the list, you're seeing Big 12 team, right? Is the seventh ranked team overall, Texas Tech. Um, they're one football game away from not being the Big 12 champion, right? BYU, by the way, undefeated as well out of the Big 12. There's every possibility we have two Big 12 teams in the college football playoffs this year. Because Texas Tech is the seventh best team in college football. Like they should absolutely, if it were today and they lost the championship to BYU, they should absolutely still be included.
Another school to watch out for really is Texas A&M. They are still undefeated. They are very
I yeah,
underappreciated in my estimate.
I
With some
think we're gonna
great
see A&M.
NFL tight end
I
talent.
think we're gonna see A&M in the national championship game.
Yeah, they're big three: the quarterback, running back, and main
Yeah.
receiver.
I
They're gonna get drafted
Yeah, for sure. But I'm a little bit lower
first round,
now. I'm a little bit lower now
first and
on
second round.
Miami.
Hmm.
And I know they didn't play this. This is not their fault that they didn't play this week. But I'm looking at this. Indiana feels like a snowplow. That there's no, I don't, I like Ohio State is the only thing stopping Indiana from sweeping its way into the national championship conversation. Um, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, and then Texas A&M has absolutely. They're a fun team to watch. They're energetic when they play. They are explosive on offense. That I believe they've surpassed Ole Miss. I know a few weeks back I said Ole Miss was looking like the best team in the SEC, and they were a few weeks back. But they had a squeaker against Washington State. That's never good. Um, yeah, A&M. It could be A&M. It could be Indiana. Miami is still good. Like they're still a threat. They're still a very well-oiled machine down there. Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting teams to watch for college football. And hey, Alabama, good on them. I thought they were booty because they were booty last year, and they started off with that loss, and I was like, oh, same, oh, no, more of the same, right? Nope, they're a good football team, guys. I know this wasn't their best win, 27-24 against Missouri, but they're a good football team. Watch them play, even for just a little bit. They're good at this. Kalen DeBoer has absolutely got himself. I think he's got himself off the hot seat for being honest.
Hmm.
Because we're gonna
Oh
see a
yeah.
playoff. We're gonna see a playoff run. We may not see him win anything in the playoffs, but we're gonna see him get there. I think he saved his job. And again, in a year where Florida's gonna fire their coach, UNC is probably gonna fire their high-profile coach. Um, Penn State did fire their coach. A legendary coach got fired at Oklahoma State. There's a lot of coaches going down this year, and there's no reason he wasn't going to be among them. But he turned it around, and this team looks like the Alabama of old. Not maybe not Saban good, but this
But
is a
it
good
definitely have a
team.
national presence and
Yeah,
definitely getting in the top 10 now.
yeah,
Just one under the top five means something. It shows legitimacy
yep,
and everything's working back on a path. So
yep, 100%.
continue to prove that the next coming weeks. All right. All right, Ryan. Let's talk about
Some of the
the
specific games. Yep.
exactly. So let's talk about Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
Indiana is making their presence known around the country. They secured a historic 30-20 victory over Oregon, propelling the Hoosiers to number 3 in the nation, the
Yep.
highest ranking ever. Under second-year coach Kirk Cignetti, Indiana navigated a challenging Big Ten schedule with impressive performances, earning national respect, and now are considered a favorite
Mm-hmm.
coming into as we get inch closer to the college football playoff. The win over Oregon was a milestone for the program. Um, Everybody now truly going want to know more about Kirk Cignetti, who's been a
Hmm.
coach for a long time, both in Division One FCS and Division Two. He pretty much got James Madison to be a D1 school in
Hmm.
his last tenure there, and now taking over Indiana, got him the college football playoff last year, lost a close game to Notre Dame. Now undefeated for now, and clearly his recruiting that he really wants to highlight the most is making such a big difference as this team looks very lethal and so far hasn't been stopped, both undefeated in their season and undefeated
Yep.
in the Big Ten. So Ryan, how impressive is this?
It's so impressive, and
20
yeah,
to number 3.
yeah, and he's definitely one of those coaches that we're gonna be talking about someday. The way that we talked about, like, there's the iconic coaches from like our childhood era, right?
Hmm.
Saban being one of the last among those, right? Like the most recent to retire of that group, but you know exactly who in like your mind's eye you could think of, Orgeron or whatever. Like there's people, right? Um, that are just considered like these great coaches, and he's gonna be that for people who are watching as kids now. Because what he's done with this program is crazy good. Again, Fernando Mendoza, who's their new quarterback, is probably going to go. I mean, he was probably headed there anyway, for being totally honest. But certainly now he's seeing his draft stock rise. As far as this game goes, this felt like just the offense got outclassed on by Oregon's offense got into a shootout with Indiana and didn't win,
Hmm.
essentially. Obviously both teams are good. Both teams have decently strong defenses, but like the running game on Oregon was abysmal. 59 yards for their top rusher. Like, you know what I mean? And then even their receiving 44 yards for their top receiver, one touchdown. Like, you know what I mean? One reception for 44 yards and a touchdown. Great. But when that's the only thing you did all game and you're the best, that's not good. And meanwhile, the receiving yards and the rushing yards are just far more carries, far more yards. Yeah, they beat them in every category. It was really just they lost the shootout essentially, which is, I mean, impressive. Because Oregon's not a bad football team, and Dante Moore is a very good quarterback, but he just couldn't lead this team to score, whereas uh, Indiana had no problem scoring, essentially.
Hmm. But yeah, you don't think this is a fluke? This is going to keep going, and you
Yeah.
just brush up on some more of what you think can make them make it to the Final Four, ultimately make it to that national championship.
I mean, yeah, I think the issue they're gonna probably have with the national championship run is, frankly, there are teams that are better offensively than they are in college football. Texas A&M being one of them, right? Um, so they'll have to either A, get an even more, tenacious offense, which that'll be hard to do because they have a very good offense right now, or they're going to have to make their defense shine in a way that it hasn't. necessarily. Again, their defense has been fine. It's not like they've had a bad defense, you know what I mean? But it's just a good football, it's a good defense. And they're going to need to be a great defense if they're going to want to take teams, again, like A&M, frankly, like Ohio State, and keep them from scoring, essentially. And that's going to be their biggest stumbling block. A school like Miami, as an example, I could see them beating Miami right now.
Okay.
Miami's a good team. Obviously, it'd be a close game, I bet. But Miami is not an explosive offense, right? And I think that that's where you're going to see issues. If you can outscore Indiana, Indiana's very good at producing scoring drives. If you can outscore Indiana, you can beat Indiana. Their defense is not going to stop you the way that like some of these, not like a Texas defense or even an Oklahoma defense, right? Like the SEC has got some real strong defenses this year. Um, as an example, all of those guys are going to be, not all of them, but some of those guys are going to be in the college playoffs that they may have to overcome, and that could be a problem. And then you got these high scorers like Ohio State and A&M, who, like Indiana, don't have a particularly special defense, but they are just electric on offense. They remind me, honestly, A&M reminds me of like a jacked up version of that Arizona State team last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just have a lot of scoring potential, and they utilize that to win their games. Just overwhelming force on the offensive side of the ball. So yeah, you'll score, but they're going to score twice for every time you score. You know what I mean? So I think that's what they have to do to become a real contender is to be able to ground those teams, those electric teams, just a little bit because they're so good at everything else that all they need to do is just keep some of those really high scoring teams from getting off their best stuff.
All right. I great stuff. The great breakdown for Ryan for that. So let's see what now if Indiana can finish their story.
Mm,
Okay, the Red River game took place over the weekend, and
yeah.
Texas is the one on top. Texas defeated Oklahoma by a score of 23-6 in the Red River Rivalry, marking a significant victory for the Longhorns. The win was notable for the defensive dominance from Texas and strategic execution, and an improved performance from Arch Manning, 21 for
Yes.
27, gets a touchdown, does not turn over the ball. And Texas gets back in the rankings with this, and now they can see if they can make up for lost time, especially after their two losses. But Texas wins, Oklahoma goes down, Arch Manning plays better. What else do you have to add to that?
Yeah, Oklahoma needs to what's it called? They need to let their quarterback heal up. Uh I really do think and I don't think that the quarterback was necessarily the reason they lost, but three interceptions is not good. Um and John Mateer is absolutely better at quarterback than that.
Mhm.
He was a Heisman favorite um before this last game. He's playing through an injury, which is admirable, of course, but I do wonder if if this may have been short-sighted. And hey, that's what's kind of cool about college football is I could see a world where I could see a world where they're like, you know what? Winning this Red River rivalry game is frankly more important than winning a national championship. Like I could see that world where it made sense to play him now and, be damned whatever happens next. But I do think you know, they may have shot themselves in the foot a little bit with their decision to put in their starting quarterback for this game, just because he wasn't who they needed. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't the guy that they needed him to be to win. And so I think for me that's probably the biggest mistake they made. And it showed. Like I said, three interceptions. Obviously, Texas is a phenomenal defense, right? So you don't want to have um, an injured quarterback throwing the ball against a phenomenal defense, and that's what they had, right? I don't know that it gets any deeper than that, to be honest with you. Texas ran the ball really well. Um, just a general rule, they were pretty good rushing. A lot of folks got in on the whole rushing situation, right? But I like to talk about time of possession and stuff, and it's nearly identical. Penalties are nearly identical. Um, the main difference, frankly, was in sacks and interceptions.
Hmm.
Oklahoma got sacked 5 times, got picked off 3 times, and that comes from having a wounded quarterback, who he was not as fast as he needed to be. He was not as in control of the ball as he needed to be. I don't know that it gets more complicated than that. First downs, by the way, they were just about even in first downs, 16 for Oklahoma, 15 for Texas. So yeah, this game was really about they put a wounded person behind center, and the Texas defense absolutely decimated him for it. And I have to wonder if a healthy backup would have maybe had a closer game. I don't know that they would have won with their backup against Texas, but it does make you wonder if he needed an extra week to heal up.
Well, they clearly needed, man. They clearly. All right. So, now why don't we talk about the top 15 battle we saw between Missouri and the University of Alabama?
Hmm.
Alabama nearly defeats the number 14th ranked Missouri team, ending their winning streak, their 5 games. Missouri, that is. Ty
Hmm.
Simpson threw for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns, including a decisive fourth down conversion to Daniel Hill with 3:16 remaining to seal the deal. Now the Crimson Tide's defense also held firm during this victory. But you talked about it. Would love to hear more about Alabama's getting back there, and turning into a great program. Despite the close game, they still did beat a top 15 ranked team, which is a big deal.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing is Missouri is a decent team. So as close as the final score was, it wasn't like they beat nobody. You know what I mean? They beat a good team. Um, yeah, when you look at the when I go through my regular tail of the tape, it's about the efficiency with the ball. Alabama kept the ball longer. That's how you win a football game. It's the easiest stat to look at to know who's going to win a football game. Alabama 22 first downs to Missouri's 15. Alabama 38 minutes for their total possession time against 21 for Missouri. You cannot win a football game if the other team has the ball. Missouri learned that by seeing Alabama hold the ball. Um, Ty Simpson had a really good game. I think that that's fair to say. Like a really good game. I think that 27 to 24 show like as a general, like those scores, that's a lot of touchdowns. So I guess if I was looking at a weakness for either team or frankly both teams, it'd be the defenses, right? Like if I mean if you look at it, each team had only one quarter where they didn't score a touchdown, at least one. So like that's not great. Each team averaging a touchdown each quarter. Obviously, that's a close game and that's very exciting for fans, but it means that the defense wasn't really able to make enough stops to keep the other team from scoring. So I guess that would be what I would
Uh,
focus on is the defense not being that strong for either team, uh, comparatively. But that's really it. In terms of the things that stood out, I don't. There wasn't too many defensive plays that stood out to me. I was the Alabama game the one where the center caught the ball, or is that Oklahoma?
no, it was a center.
The center caught the ball in the
Yep.
Alabama game. Yeah,
Hmm.
that was kind of fun. I liked that.
Well, we had a
And
people have to be more creative in both college and the pros. We just saw a play where Jared Goff goes out for a pass. David Montgomery actually throws in for a touchdown. You get a holding call because it's the
well,
Chiefs at home
of course, yeah.
at NBC.
Um, yeah, of
And
course. But
where's
yeah,
Taylor?
and college used to be that the place that did more of that stuff. They don't do it as much anymore.
Mm,
But yeah, this particular was a tipped. The defense they weren't able to bring it in. They were able to tip it, and so the ball was kind of just spinning in the air, and the center caught the football and just ran it forward for a few yards. So it took what could have been a pick if the defense had been solid and been able to block it and recover grab the ball that way and turned it into a gain of like 3 yards by the center. So,
yeah.
you know, things like that. Again, I think that would be the weakness for both teams in this particular case, was their defense. But yeah, again, looking at the stats, it's simple to see what happened. One team had the ball more than the other, so that means they were able to score more.
All right. Ryan, UCLA continues to have some magic.
Yeah, what the hell?
So they extend their winning streak to 2 after a commanding 38-13 victory over Michigan State. Running back Jalen Berger scored 3 touchdowns. The quarterback Nico Lamavella threw 180 yards and 3 touchdowns. And the Bruins offense was efficient throughout. Their defense absolutely stiff Michigan State. And yeah, 38 points. This beloved offensive coordinator does it again. And again, this is now the second straight school that they beat that were ranked in the top 10 coming into this season.
Yep.
And yeah, a lot of people giving credit to the offensive coordinator Jerry Neuheisel. And yeah, bro is definitely gonna get a coaching job once he's done.
Might be able to get the Penn job.
I mean, maybe
not.
clearly they're able to clearly score with this team. Michigan State was a pretty respectable defense in the Big Ten. So
oh yeah,
something's going
Michigan
on over
State
there.
is not a bad school. This is one of the big mysteries because looking at it, nothing changed. And like I hate
Just
to
a
say that.
coordinator, offensive coordinator. It
No,
just
no, it was the same offensive coordinator, right?
I thought they fired. I thought he was brand new.
They
They
fired the
fired
head
this
coach,
one.
I thought.
I
They might
mean,
fire both of them. I
I'll
don't know.
confirm this right now. For some
Yeah. So while you're
ba.
while you're looking for that,
So he took over, 2 weeks ago.
he took over, but he was already with the
At
team,
the
right?
UC, he was a tight ends coach.
Yeah,
And then
now he's the offense
they
coach.
got
But
yeah.
they fired their offensive coordinator and their head coach,
No,
or
head
just their
coach is
offensive
still
coordinator.
there, just offensive coordinator.
Interesting. Should probably save that guy's job too. Yeah. So what the hell was the last guy doing? Seriously, what were they doing every day, every week before their games that they couldn't score anything? It boggles the mind because they didn't get any new players. You have to presume that the playbook is similar, if not exactly the same. So it's that to me it's just crazy that the excuse me that the offense has become that more efficient. And I mean, I'm an offense guy, but as you can see, or as I'm about to tell you, that is absolutely what happened. Uh, First downs, UCLA beat Michigan. Third down efficacy, it was went to UCLA. Fourth down efficacy went to UCLA. Total plays went to UCLA. What's it called? Time of possession nearly double for UCLA. It's like interceptions thrown and interception and fumbles. UCLA had less of those. It's like, yeah, their offense is just playing better. And lo and behold, their offense plays better and they win football games. So it is definitely the offensive coordinator who's made this change. I think that's fair to say. I'm curious to see how this season goes for them because UCLA has got Maryland, which was on a tear earlier in the year. Not a tear, but they were definitely doing pretty well. And now they're not quite as scary as they looked like they might be at the beginning of the season when they were beating up on all the bad teams. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a world where Maryland goes down, but after Maryland, it's Indiana, Michigan State,
Well, then you
Nebraska.
back Markel Reed led the Aggies with efficient play, and the defense was dominant, limiting Florida to just 1 third-down conversion out of 10 attempts. Head coach Mike Elko praised the team's resilience and complementary play, noting it's the first time they have efficiently balanced each other amidst the game momentum shifts. Yeah, buddy, how about that?
I mean, yeah, I think that was a pretty solid rundown there. Uh, I guess I mean we've talked a lot about them already, and I don't think we've really missed much. If I'm being totally honest with you, they beat up on Florida. Frankly, that's not a surprise. They absolutely should have beat up on Florida, and so the fact that they did is not crazy. Um, I think for me, and I think the first time I watched their full game was that Notre Dame game. I mean, I'll tell you what, that game was when it became very clear that this team likes to run around, that this team likes to have the ball. You know what I mean? Like there are some teams that prefer to be, prefer to be on defense, frankly, because they know that it's automatic that it's going to be a fight to score on them. This team likes to hold the ball. They have fun with that, and it shows. They're quite good with the ball too. So I think that I stand by that initial kind of belief that A&M is one of those electric kind of scoring teams. And as you pointed out, there's all three of those guys. Marcel Reed, especially amongst the three, but all of them are going to be NFL bound. Marcel Reed may very well find himself as the top prospect of the quarterback class.
You think
I,
so?
I, I mean, he might. I will have to see the
Oh,
rest
he's
of the
on the way.
season
Okay.
goes. Oh
Okay.
yeah, I'm not saying he's right now necessarily, but I don't think it's crazy to assume that at the end of the season, Marcel Reed is the hottest draft.
I can't think of who the next Jets quarterback's going to be.
The next Jets quarterback.
no,
No, but like think about it. You got
there is definitely not there's not a standout.
yeah,
Definitely
and it's
not.
like
Um, Nuss Myers hasn't been that impressive. Who I thought DJ Lagway's been very bad not
he's
very
been
bad.
horrible this year.
He's
Yeah,
been struggling. Yeah, I guess Reed is one to look out for. Maybe a Carson Beck in Miami. Even though
yeah.
he's just as older, he'll be just as older as like five top players been in the league for 5 years.
Well, yeah, and with Beck, like I said, he feels very system based. Like
Yeah.
they plugged him into a good system and he's leading it competently. You put a guy like Beck on a team like, I'm a Jets fan. You put a guy like Beck on the Jets and it's going to be a disaster. He's not a playmaker. He's a game manager. But you look at this top 5, 6 you've got here. Ohio State's they're running with a sophomore at quarterback right now. He's not going to the league. I mean, that'd be insane. If he went to the league, that kid's an idiot. I'll say that out loud.
You mean the
Uh,
team who picked him is?
both of them. He'd be an idiot to go, and they'd be an idiot to draft him. Julian Sain is a very good quarterback, but he is not ready for the NFL. Yeah, you got Beck. Mendoza in Indiana is probably going to go to the league, but I don't know that he's going to be all that impressive from a drafting perspective. Um, but yeah, it's like you look at all these teams. I mean, Dante Moore, he's good. Like, sure, but I think Marcel Reed could very easily find himself as the top prospect for next season, and with good reason. He's fun to watch, and he's really good at moving the ball, which is kind of the quarterback's whole job, right? So, yeah, in general, if you haven't watched any games yet and you're looking for one to watch, like watch Texas A&M play. They're in the SEC, so you know it's going to be a decent like turnout. It's going to get good coverage. It's going to be against a decent team, and they're just a lot of fun to watch.
Spot on, Ryan, as per usual. Just quickly, Ryan, just so I have you for a second.
Yep.
I have a very exclusive clip from this coach
Okay.
in this locker room I want to show you.
Yeah.
And I just want to see your thoughts on it. All right, so the sharing isn't working, so I'll fix this right here. You just need this. You could just get the same effect hearing it too.
Yeah.
So here it is.
Worse than that time I was.
No.
Six, baby, let's go. Congrats, guys. We lost again. Justin, good job. Another horrible game. 11 more for the 0-17 goal. Let's go back to New York and lose to the Panthers.
Dude, what a horrible Jet game today, Ryan. I think this is now. We talked about a milestone week in college football. Just quickly on this.
Yeah.
So I just have on the record with the Jets' horrible 13-11 loss, where both teams played horribly, but the Jets couldn't take advantage of it. Where Aaron Glenn, they're already asking for him to get fired after one season, but I think they're literally the lowest scoring offense in the league's in the team's history, and that's saying something in the first 6 games with bad clock management. to a point where you literally should have put in Tyrod Taylor instead of Justin Fields. They had negative 10 yards of offense today. Negative 10 yards after 4 quarters. I know it's saying LOL Jets isn't exactly a hot take, but
yeah. I mean, you want to take on
this is
as
really
a Jets fan?
this is as bad. It's really turning into an all-time worst season.
Yeah. So I predicted this pretty quickly. I did. I was interested in the idea of a run-heavy offense. That's not materialized. We've just had
not a thing.
No offense is essentially what we went with instead. Was to just not make any yards.
Yeah, negative 10 yards ain't gonna help anybody.
Right. So if they want my opinion as to what they do, they're wasting one of the best running backs at the prime of his career. Maybe get rid of him for pieces, I guess. I don't know. I mean, Breece Hall is a phenomenal running back. Why we're wasting our time, or why he's wasting his time with the Jets is fascinating. I'd get rid of him if we're not going to win any games. You might as well get rid of him for some, for more picks or whatever. Aaron Glenn does have to go. Basically, and I'm done saying this politely. If the guy has never coached an offense before, don't hire him. Done. Don't hire a guy who has never coached an offense before. The Jets have only ever look at the score of this game. 11-13.
It's ugly.
If any other team could keep their opponents to 13, they'd probably be in conversations for fucking a championship right now. But the problem is we can stop a team from scoring, but then we go back 10 yards. Negative 10 yards.
After 4 full quarters of play.
Negative 10 yards. Our defense isn't the problem, guys. We have to put the ball forward and into the end zone. That is how you win a football game. Period. End of conversation. There's no way to win a football game if you don't go forward and put the ball in the end zone. You will lose every single time. Doesn't matter how defense wins championships, fucking blow me. No more saying that. If it's posted on a wall, delete it. We don't need defense. We need to score points. You win games by scoring more points than the other person. Points win championships because they win football games. Okay? So, whoever they get after Aaron Glenn, and this should be his only season, I think he should be done with football overall. I think that good try. Go find something else to do.
At least you have that dance meme for him forever.
Enterprise Rent-A-Car is always hiring. He's got to go. And yeah, do not hire somebody. Do not show up and be like, oh, this guy was a phenomenal defensive whatever for this team, and this team won. I don't care. Because you know what? That team probably won a lot of games. But you know what didn't win the games? The fucking defense. Why? Because you can't win a game on defense. You have to score. You need a guy who can draw up plays and then execute on those plays to score football points. And when you score those points of football, you win the football game. So if a guy has never done that before, I do not want him to be the head coach of the Jets. Just, again, I said, and Matt, I'm going to call you out a little bit. You said, no, this would be a horrible idea. I mentioned Rex Ryan one time, and you said, horrible idea. We're now, 0-6?
Mm-hmm.
So, no. Nothing is a more horrible idea than the guy that got 0-6. But you want to know what Rex Ryan has crucially done that Aaron Glenn has not done? Coached a football team that has scored more points than the other football team.
I mean, my only thing with Rex Ryan coming back is just...
Doesn't have to be Rex Ryan. But I'm just saying...
You would totally do that for PR reasons. Like, remember when the Colts hired Jeff Saturday a couple years ago?
Can I be honest with you, though,
man? And I don't think he won. No, he won one game.
Well, guess what? So... we didn't win either, and we don't get the PR. If we're going to go 0 whatever, at least have a PR stunt. But I don't believe, by the way, I don't believe we would have gone 0 whatever. I'm telling you as a fact, I think we would have beat Aaron Rodgers with Rex Ryan as coach. We might have even won this football game. I think that, don't get me wrong, that's 2 wins. I'm not saying we're a contender with a coach like Rex Ryan, but I think that this coach's lack of experience leading an offense, partnered with the fact that he doesn't have the world's strongest offense, certainly not at the quarterback position, and he doesn't have an arm. You know what I mean? Like, Justin Fields is not an accurate passer. Neither really is Tyrod Taylor. Doesn't really matter which one you put in. That's the same issue.
Mm-hmm.
This team could have won those 2 games in particular with somebody who understood scoring in offense at the professional level in a way that our current head coach does not. And again, I say Rex Ryan because 1, we know he'd take the job, and 2, because it's funny. But it doesn't have to be Rex Ryan. There are other fucking coaches, right? There are
He just
people.
wants somebody else.
No, not just somebody else. No.
Somebody, an offensive-minded coach.
An offensive-minded
To be
coach.
fair, Rex was a defensive-minded coach too.
He was, but he's also been a head coach of a winning football team. A football team that won games, which is something that this guy has never done because he's never been a head coach before. So
yeah, you definitely have to get an experienced coach.
Right. So you could be defensive minded, but you're defensive minded having also coached a winning football team. This guy has never won a football game as head coach. Who?
It's a year too late, but last year, Pete Carroll should have been hired.
Yes.
That would have been what he's available. He clearly would have taken a job. Now he's in a struggling Raiders team, but I think that's more Geno Smith having a hard time. But obviously he's established. But that's what I'm saying. You need an experienced coach.
Hey, what the hell's the UCLA kid doing? Bring him in.
I mean, he's not I don't think he's coached in the pros, but if you want to do again for the
you know what? Like I said, I at this point I think they should prioritize a person who has coached a football game in which his team scored more points than the other football team. Because to be clear, Aaron Glenn has never done that. 6 professional games as the head coach of the New York Jets. He has never scored more points than the other team he was playing. Well, ever.
Great works with that, Ryan. Great work. All right, Ryan, let's wrap that up. College football week 7 in the books. We'll see you next week for a recap of college football week 8. And check out our NFL recap week 6. And tweet caps on Tuesday and Friday of this week. All right. See you later.
See ya.